Hey guys, and welcome back to Amnesia Memories. So, we are going to do Kent's short story for this little video. It's nighttime from the time I did these two. Same day. Trying to get it all in the same day, and I shouldn't have the problem I did in the morning. I think my voice is a lot better. So let's begin Kent's story. Whether I should go to return this umbrella today or not, that was the question at hand. The sky was visible from the laboratory windows and was spotted with clouds. Rain from this morning had ceased, come early afternoon, and it was bright outside despite it being the middle of the rainy season. She would probably not need this umbrella. Even so, should I return it to her? For a question that was not worth pondering, I had, for some reason, been contemplating it for quite some time. The first problem of the day was whether I should take a walk despite the rain. The me of last year would have not. The reason for my daily strolls was only for maintaining good health, and if not for training, it was certainly a good job. There was no overwhelming reason in favor of walking out in the rain. My reason for hesitating was due to the image of the girl I would meet in the morning suddenly coming to mind. She would most likely come. Her walk in the mornings was for her dog. It was almost an obligation. There was a high probability she would go, even in the rain. I had seen confirmation of that in similar situations before. Using this as a basis, I considered whether I should go. In other words, did I want to meet her or not? I deliberated for some time, then tired of contemplating the issue and simply decided to leave. I put the question of whether I wanted to meet her or not on hold. That was this morning. Walking even in this rain? Good for you. Oh, okay. I'll just do that again. Walking even in this rain? Good for you. Sure enough, she was there and she spoke to me in a somewhat sarcastic tone. Managing to keep pace next to her without thinking, I returned her sarcasm. You're also determined enough to walk your dog that you'd put it in a raincoat. How very diligent of you. The dog, wrapped up in a yellow raincoat, looked up at me with round eyes. I wondered if it was conscious of being spoken about. I've thought this for a while, but the recent trend of treating dogs like humans is absurd. Is a raincoat necessary for a dog? It is a species that was originally born to live with fur. There is no reason to dress dogs the same way as humans who have evolved with a need for clothes. People say dogs are their family, but is including them simply a means to ease the loneliness of lacking a nuclear family in the modern world? To me, it is simply a sham. Thank you for your very important opinion. After once again responding with sarcasm, she gave a strained smile. As you said, my dog probably doesn't need a raincoat, but it's convenient to put him in it. It's easier to wash him afterwards this way. Oh, I see. It's a question of convenience. I can agree with that. I truly was agreeing with her logic, but she seemed to take this as yet another attempt at mockery. She fell silent, puffing her cheeks out. I fell silent as well at her childish expression. Why did I cause her to make such a face? Why would she not smile? Why was my gaze pulled towards her presumably upset expression? The way she was wearing a white poncho in the place of an umbrella, or the way her bag was dangling from underneath in a manner where it would not be in the way. Why did such little details remain blurred in my vision? Every time I met her, I was consumed by these sorts of questions. Do you not need to use an umbrella? Your appearance is rather childish. The topic I chose to change the subject only seemed to further upset her. Sorry, I'm so childish. I use 2 hands to hold this leash, so I need both of them free. I see. A fair amount of forethought is needed. I doubt I could own a dog. If you think so, then you probably shouldn't own one. I would feel bad for the dog, too. I didn't understand why our conversations became so caustic. I was somehow pushing on the buttons wrong. I understood this much, but I had no idea how to fix things. What would make her smile? As I pondered this and looked down at her, she glared back for some reason. She might have thought that I was glaring at her. I was finding myself at a loss when I heard a voice cry, "Ah!" from behind us. Turning around, I saw a young girl with a tearful expression looking down at the river flowing next to the walkway. It was simple to tell what happened by following her line of vision. A red umbrella was sailing away on the river. Did your umbrella get blown away? She also had become aware of the girl's state. When called to, the child looked over, scrunching her eyebrows. What do I do? My umbrella, it washed away. It did, huh? Just a moment. I looked on, puzzled, as she pulled back her sleeves. She was possibly trying to take off her poncho. What was she thinking? She must be joking. It was much better that I got wet than let her return home drenched. Thankfully, the rain was light. Use this. Before she was able to say anything, I thrust my umbrella towards the young girl. But mister, won't you get wet? I'm not so weak that this amount of rain would affect me. My house is close by as well. I heard that children catch cold easily if they are soaked for too long. If that is the case, it is better that you use this umbrella. However, you'll have to be more careful this time so that it won't get blown away. Can I give... I controlled her attempt to get a word in with a stare. I can't imagine that you're as sturdy as I am. Your house was, if I recall, farther away from here. Therefore, it is much more efficient for me to give her my umbrella here. What? But... You don't need to be so insistent about it. Besides that, now that I've given my umbrella, I'd like to return home. But... Oh, that's not what I... Enough. You, go along now. The young child, who had been looking conflicted, seemed pressured by my words and grabbed the umbrella. She was probably considering whether or not it was all right to accept something from an unknown man, as much as a child could consider such a thing. Thank you. After having opened the umbrella a men's size wholly unfitting to her, the child gave an unsteady bow, then ran off. It seemed difficult for her to run with such a large umbrella. It may have been that the wind's resistance was too strong. Perhaps allowing her to give the child her poncho and then having her borrow my umbrella would have been much more efficient after all. While I regretted the error of my decision, the girl beside me pulled up her poncho even though there was no longer any need. What are you doing? Please listen to me. I have an umbrella. She spoke as if angered, and from underneath her poncho, she produced a folding umbrella. Please use this. It was too late for me to realize that this was what she was trying to convey earlier. You'll catch a cold. Please, hurry and open it. I accepted the bluish-gray folding umbrella, decorated with a droplet pattern, and opened it. I had erred it all. I should have listened to her properly and allowed her to give this to the child. Why did I always miscalculate my decisions when she was involved? I'm sure we'll meet again tomorrow, so you can just return it then. And I don't need any thanks. I was planning to give it to her anyway. Just return it tomorrow. Also, you're getting soaked. Kent, you should take a proper shower when you get home. If you had just listened to me, I would have been able to pull it out earlier. As she spoke rapidly, she glanced over with a sullen look and added in a small voice, Still, I never expected you to do such a thing, Kent. You're nice. Am I nice? Hadn't I made a very large mistake in judgment? Shouldn't I have listened to you? While I sincerely pondered over these thoughts, she turned around swiftly. Anyway, both of us should head home now. Yes, you're right. This amount of rain was a little consequence to me, but I was not eccentric enough to walk about town with a woman's umbrella. Watching her bobbing white form walk off, I sincerely felt that I had erred in my decision. I had barely talked to her today. Why had I even come here? I don't know. I didn't want to know. I didn't want to answer that yet. Either way, that was the reason I was in possession of her umbrella. I was told to return it tomorrow, so it was fine to wait. And whether for better or for worse, the rain had stopped, with the forecast of tomorrow being sunny. Until the time that I would meet her tomorrow, she would not find herself in need of this umbrella. And yet, the reason my eyes trailed to my cell phone was because if I said I would return it, I would be able to meet her again today. Since I was unable to see her for very long in the morning, I would be able to speak with her a little more if I did. Even if it would simply end in another quarrel. Why did I hesitate? Even already knowing the outcome, why was my urge to meet her so great that I concocted reasons for it? Each time I asked myself this, I would suppress the barely visible answer deep into my heart. Am I possibly in love with her? Impossible. As I was on the verge of veering into a train of thought I shouldn't follow, there was a light knock on the laboratory door, followed by its opening. Ken, hide me! The man who spoke sharply as he came in was my friendly rival, Ikkyu. Closing the door behind him, he quickly began looking behind the desks and glancing around the laboratory in an attempt to hide. There was only one reason I could give for his desperation. It was a woman. Are you being chased? Yes, by quite a few. In fact, you'd be surprised at the amount. Ikkyu had barely managed to find a gap to squeeze into when suddenly the door swung open without a knock. Is Ikki here? How noisy. The uninvited guests were 3 female college students. As they had rudely barged into the laboratory wearing ridiculously flashy clothes, I responded to them curtly. He's not here. Leave. Perhaps surprised by my forwardness, the 3 stopped in their tracks. Are you sure? What a ridiculous question. I'm busy. Leave. The effect was immediate. Looking defeated, the trio shuffled their way back out. Ikkyu suffers some hardships as well, having to deal with fans without even a shred of common courtesy. After some time had passed since the door closed, Ikkyu appeared again, coupled with a sigh. Thanks, that was a big help. Why were you being chased? Well, I was asked to help with an assignment they didn't understand. But when I refused, they started to chase me. It was actually pretty shocking. I had thought you fond of going along with a woman's advances, but I see there are times you turn them down as well. I have my preferences. It was unexpected for him to look so proud as he said this. I'd thought he didn't have preferences when it came to women, and the members of the previous trio were, by normal standards, rather beautiful. Ikkyu, let me ask you, is it generally annoying for one to use such small reasons as excuses to spend time with someone? Of course, the umbrella was on my mind when I asked this, though it applied to his situation as well. Ikkyu lightly tilted his head. I don't know about in general, but if it was a girl that I liked, I would be happy to see her. Is that how it is? That is how it is. I wondered if she thought of me as a desirable partner. I had a feeling this was improbable. How does one deduce that another sees one as desirable? For instance, if a woman who was interested in you were to decide whether or not to converse with you, on what factors would she base her decision? Huh? Deciding on whether to approach someone? Let's see. For me, the kind of girl I like to talk to is someone with whom I can have a pleasant conversation with. That was too broad of a category. I then felt some disgust at the fact that I did not fit even in so broad. Let me read that. I then felt some disgust at the fact that I did not fit even in so broad of a category. Is it a nuisance to be approached by someone you regularly devolve into arguments with? Of course it's a nuisance. Use your common sense. What exactly are you trying to ask? Nothing really. I dodged and carefully pushed the umbrella into a less visible position. Then let me rephrase the question. Is the desire to create small excuses in order to meet someone indicative of romantic feelings? I don't know. I think the girls just now were more curious than anything else. Well, I suppose it may be the start of falling in love. While tilting his neck, Ikkyu further bent his waist as if trying to peer at my face. I seriously doubt this, but are you in love with someone? Impossible. With this one-word denial, without the slightest hint of suspicion, he murmured, "Of course not." Were romance and I seen as that disparate from one another? I figured as much. Even I could see it. I considered that she was 7 years my junior, that we weren't on very good terms, and the whole idea came to look ridiculous. Of course it was impossible. She would probably think it was a nuisance. I put down the cell phone I was about to dial and pushed it toward the umbrella. I didn't have to think about it. If I was told that this was love, I would have no idea what to do. That was why I wouldn't call her. I would no longer give thought to the umbrella. No matter how much anxiety I felt waiting for the next day, it simply must be a trick of the mind. That was what it had to be. But Ken, just so you know, I'm pretty sure love isn't all logic. I I pretended not to hear Ikkyu's generously given advice and shoved the umbrella deep into the gap between my books so that I would no longer give any more thought to her. I hadn't yet realized that this was the problem in and of itself. I felt like Kent's story was droning on and on. Like, I was like, holy crap, how long is this? But it's 20 minutes. Okay, I'll say that I did like the story, but it wasn't very fun as the previous two. I'm a little disappointed, but I should have known. I mean, there's a lot of logic behind this character and all that, but I can appreciate his mind, his thinking. I appreciate that, and I like that. I like getting into these characters' minds and knowing what they're thinking. So, with that, in the next video, we will do Toma. That should be very interesting. I have high hopes for Toma. She has high hopes for Toma's story. I'm sorry if she's making a lot of racket. I got nothing. She's just wanting to talk a lot more. And she's like right next to me. Anyway, I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.